promise to you, whether you're going to storm a hill with a machine gun and take out 50 people in the face of imminent danger, or if you're just on a desk trying to make sure enough trucks are there so that you guys are getting the shitty breakfast that you eat on FOBs. You give up everything for us. Your families, your sense of security. And we promise you up and down that it's going to be more than just lapel pins and salutes at stadiums, but we don't deliver on it. And I apologize. I'm sorry for that, because we haven't proven worthy.
Recently, there's been a lot of movement in Congress on the PACT Act. This is sweeping toxic exposure legislation that could help as many as 3.5 million veterans in America. That's 1 in every 5 veterans in America living today. And what this would do is it would provide more benefits and more medical access to folks who were exposed to all sorts of nasty things while they were serving overseas. Burn pit smoke, chemical defoliants like Agent Orange in Vietnam, even some nuclear exposure, radiation exposure in certain areas where troops were serving. What this would do is it would make it easier for them to apply for both disability benefits, get money back for their wounds, and also get more care at VA hospitals. What's been happening so far is a lot of times folks will come back, not know they're exposed, not know they have these diseases just waiting in their bodies, and 8 years, 10 years, sometimes even 20 years down the road, they start to manifest themselves. By that time, veterans can't prove that it was their military service that caused their illnesses. So it's been very difficult for these folks to get treatment, to get care, and to get benefits for that exposure. In recent years, VA has been trying to make improvements on how to treat these veterans, how to help these veterans. They've been adding some more presumptive conditions to the things that folks who were exposed to burn pit smoke in Iraq and Afghanistan can receive care for, can receive benefits for. But lawmakers have said that just falls short of what they need. They need comprehensive legislation. Back in March, the House passed this bill, the PACT Act. Very expensive bill, over $200 billion over the next 10 years. It's been sort of caught up in the Senate, but just recently, senators have reached a deal to move it ahead. It could become law before July 1st. The president could sign it before then, but we still have to see a Senate vote. We still have to see some legislative maneuvers. So advocates are really hammering hard right now, trying to get it over the finish line because they say it's just critical that we help these veterans.
Toxic exposures are, they dug a burn pit, sometimes 10 acres deep, with jet fuel on them, and they burned everything from hazardous materials to human waste to all kinds of things. And people breathe it in. It's illegal to do in the United States, but that's what they were exposed to, and they all breathed it in. It's like an IED that goes off in your body 7 to 8 years later. And they earn the health care that they're entitled to, and they're being denied it. And that's what this bill seeks to address. I think most people have no idea that we poisoned our own troops because contractors wanted to cheap out on incinerators. We did that. 9/11 Ground Zero was the original burn pit, but that was an attack on this country. The burn pits in Iraq and Afghanistan, that was ours. We made those. I refuse to say it's not gonna, we're gonna make it pass. We have to. We have to.
Congress comes back in the next few days. I would expect the PACT Act to be on the Senate floor in just the next few weeks. It's going to be one of the major pieces of veterans legislation we could see this summer, and it's expected to move through. That is assuming that there aren't other hang-ups in the Senate, and we did see one major hang-up with another veterans issue recently. John Tester was on the Senate floor trying to advance the nomination of a new Department of Veterans Affairs health official, but he got pretty frustrated that one of his Republican colleagues was stymieing that.
I would really appreciate it, Madam Chair, if the senator from Florida would at least stay here rather than turn his backs on the veterans of America and walk out the door, turning his backs on the American veteran, the people who have served this country, the people who have fought. We're coming up for Memorial Day. I hope, Madam Chair, that the senator from Florida doesn't walk in into Veterans Day, to Memorial Day services and talk about what a great friend he is of our veterans, because he is not. All I'm asking for is to give the VA the tools they need to be able to provide our veterans with the health care that they have earned.
Senator Tester's outburst at Senator Rick Scott was surprising. We've seen lots of nominations get blocked in the Senate of late, but this one seemed a little more personal and a little more political based. Now, this is a position that we're talking about at VA that's been vacant since 2017. This is the chief health official, and it's been a point of frustration for both the White House and for Congress because there's a lot of health issues at VA, and they haven't had a Senate-confirmed official overseeing them for more than 5 years now. Senator Tester thought that the nominee was going to be moving ahead forward. He's gotten a lot of support from other Republican senators, but Senator Scott seems to be objecting not so much to the nominee, but really just to President Biden and his choice of a whole host of folks.
Throughout his presidency, Joe Biden and his administration have shown an inability to place qualified and competent people in many positions of power across the federal government. We've had crisis after crisis due to the failed leadership of President Biden and his appointees. Americans have been left with no faith in President Biden's ability to lead or appoint qualified individuals to serve in these important roles. And this nominee, who will be in charge of critical health care programs at the Department of Veterans Affairs, is no different.
It's unlikely that the nominee won't move ahead, where you should have a fully confirmed Senate health official in the next couple of weeks here. But whether or not that has lingering effects for other veterans legislation remains to be seen.
I'm going to tell you what this is, Madam Chair. With all due respect to the senator from Florida, this is obstruction at the worst, because this obstruction stops our veterans from getting the health care that they need. You want to talk about why the American people think the United States Senate is dysfunctional? Senator from Florida could look in the mirror.
So that's the big veterans news to watch for on Capitol Hill over the next few weeks. But over the next month, the big military news is going to be the annual defense budget and the annual defense authorization bill. We've already seen a lot of work on that, but over the next few weeks is when they're going to start crafting those initial drafts and pass them out of both the House and the Senate. We're looking at a defense budget of about $773 billion for fiscal 2023. That's the number the White House put out. But actually, I expect that to go higher because the Defense Department has already admitted that that doesn't factor in a lot of the inflation figures we've seen over the last few months. There's a 4.6% pay raise for troops included in all of that. It goes into effect next January. But again, that number doesn't include all the inflation figures we've seen since the beginning of the year. So that number is likely to go up. There's going to be a real fight between Democrats and Republicans, not over whether or not to increase the defense budget, but how high should they increase the defense budget. Republicans have already said we need to go much, much higher to counter all of these extra costs, to counter all of the growing threats. Democrats have said, yeah, we probably do need to move it up higher, but they really want to rein it in, spend some more of that money in other domestic issues, not just keep it in the Pentagon and the Defense Department, which saw some record increases during the Trump administration. So we expect those figures to be out by the end of the month. Maybe mid-July we'll see the defense budget pass. The hope is to get the whole thing done before the start of the fiscal year in October, but with an election coming up, with other things, that's going to be a tough call for them to get all that work done. We'll be following all those stories on militarytimes.com over the next few months. For Military Times, I'm Leo Shane.